Hey there, welcome to Inquiring Minds and another Shorty episode. Today's short subject is a nib swap. Here is my Sheaffer ICON, which I reviewed recently. I'll put the link to that review in the description. I really disliked the nib that came with the pen. It was marked M for medium, but it was far from medium. It was making a line that was 0.3 millimeters in thickness, which is a Western extra fine, so far from medium. And it was scratchy and unpleasant. So I pulled that nib and put in this Bobby bent nib. It's a Waverly style nib with a slight upturn at the tip, and it's very similar to the standard fine nibs in Penbbs pens. Speaking of Penbbs, they have just released a new model, and it's the very first all-metal pen from Penbbs that I'm aware of. It is the Penbbs 499, and it comes in three styles: an all-gold metal with diamond pattern, an all-gold metal with flames pattern, and a matte black with a flames pattern section. I bought one in the flames pattern because, well, Calgary Flames, eh? Duh. And one in matte black. The all-gold metal version will be for my wife, Wynn. They come in number 6 size gold-colored steel standard fine nibs. But back to the Icon nib swap. I'm enjoying this Bobby bent nib on the Icon very much. However, I've noticed on Bobby's AliExpress store called St. Pen PPS that he has made a calligraphy nib in the shape of a Naginata togi for hooded pens like the Wing Song 601 and 618 and the Jinhao 85 and 51A. And that's the exact same size as what's on this Sheaffer ICON. So I bought it, and we'll swap the Bobby bent nib for the calligraphy nib and give it a try on camera. Let's take a closer look at this calligraphy nib. I did a review of the various Penbbs calligraphy nibs that I own, and this one is very similar to the Penbbs calligraphy number 1 nib that I have here on my Penbbs 323 Amber. See, those nibs are very, very similar. The footprints seem to be very, very similar, so I expect that even though this is a much smaller nib because it's a hooded nib, that the tipping material is almost identical in shape and size, and we should see the same kind of line it produces, which is essentially a zoom-like character, where depending on your angle to the page with your pen, you'll get a thicker or thinner line. I also decided to upgrade my nib pulling method for this kind of nib. Instead of using toenail clippers, as I did before, I bought these soft plastic jawed pliers to be a less damaging kind of nib removal tool. So this pen is fully inked up, so this is going to be a hot swap. There we go. Pulled it straight out. Then we just take the calligraphy nib and we place it over the feed, put it in position, and I'm going to push it straight onto that feed and then seat it by pushing it straight down onto this elastic. There. That looks like it's in place, is lined up correctly. So I'm going to prime that feed a little bit, and then we'll do a writing sample. So here we are with the Sheaffer ICON, and it has a Bobby calligraphy steel nib. The ink is diamine oxblood. So let's look at the characteristics of this nib. Straight up and down, it's getting us a very thin line, very, very thin. And then at about 60 degrees, it's getting thicker in both directions. And then at about 45 degrees, it's much thicker in the horizontal than the vertical. And then at about 30 degrees, it's very thick. So I think that's the thickest line I'm getting. Very thin line to a very thick line. So this is my Richard Binder chart for pens that write that I measure all my lines with. I think we're at a 0.2, if not at 0.1, somewhere between 0.1 and 0.2 for the fine, which is a Western XXF, and then the thick line is in the 0.9 millimeter range, almost 1 millimeter. I'd say 0.9. A large variety of line widths, and reverse is even drier and thinner. And as to wetness, it's not wet at all. And this is a very dry ink to begin with, but you're getting a very paintbrush kind of an effect here. There we go. Let's see how it compares to our Penbbs. This is the Penbbs 323 with a calligraphy. Whoops. Number 1 steel nib. This is much wetter. Of course, this is a much wetter ink. The ink is Ferris Wheel Press Candy Marsala, and this gets you quite a range depending on the angle as well. But this nib is much smoother than the bobby nib. A lot more feedback on the bobby nib. And there you have it, another shorty for the inquiring minds. Thank you for watching. And that's all she wrote.
I made this.